So now let's invite Team 4, which is the University of Hong Kong. So you will also have 8 minutes for the presentation. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Kelson, a social work student from HKAE. As a social work student, I spent years learning theories, but when a client shared suicidal thought to me during my fieldwork attachment, I froze. I got no words. That silence wasn't just my failure, it was also a systematic one. Social work students only got 3 practice sections and 1 stimulated examination before they are going to real placement, facing real clients with real crisis. And the key problem is student lack of practice in realistic work situation. And this miscommunication isn't just a story, but real statistics. In healthcare, 80% of serious errors are caused by miscommunication. And students graduate with knowledge, but in reality, they freeze. 50% of graduates fail to meet the employer communication standard, despite it being the #1 demanded skills. Therefore, we build ACTalyse, an adaptive communication trainer. Our mission is to provide you immersive learning journeys that turn your soft skills into strategic superpowers.
Let me tell you further what ACTalyse really do. Now, ACTalyse will switch role with you. ACTalyse will act as a realistic client that you will find in your workplace. For example, ACTalyse will act as an angry customer who you complains about the services. Or ACTalyse could act as a homeless, depressed 20-year-old girl. Now, who's the user? The user are these students or trainees who will lead the conversation as professional. You could be a social worker, a nurse, or even psychologist when using our product. And then you will solve this client problem as the AI itself. Now, students, after using our product, they will be ready to face real life in high-stakes scenarios. Now, you're thinking, is there any software that already exists in real life? Yes, they have, and it's a lot. But what is their problem? They only give you generic role-play scenario and no high-stakes scenarios. You will not find any of this depressed client inside this platform, right? And they can only give you surface-level feedback, such as how many keywords have you already told? What is the key points that you already told? No, how can you improve the communication? And that is why we are different.
So let's have a look at ACTalyse in action. As you can see, this is our front page. And over here, we have various different versions for different professions, because we want to use ACTalyse for different fields such as psychiatry, medicine, and so on. But for now, let's have a look at our social work prototype. As you can see, that's a dashboard, and over here in this screen, you can see that we provide users with a variety of different client profiles, each profile simulating a different client scenario that the users can practice their professional skills on. For example, over here we have Kai, who is a high schooler going through depression. And as a social worker, we would help him out. So let's talk to Kai. As you can see, while we're talking to Kai, this is what the UI looks like. This is what the UI looks like. And let's move on to the 3 main features that makes us unique. Firstly is the cognitive model. You can see that in the cognitive model, we minimize the AI hallucination by grounding each client profile with predetermined fields such as backgrounds and core beliefs, while also having changing emotions and thoughts, in which we use all these fields to generate each and every response. Thus, our responses are not generic like all the other AIs. Next, we have our skill classification, which classifies what skill the user is using in real time and displays them right here. And this solves a problem of traditional communication training, which is that it is quite vague and the students don't know exactly what skills they need to improve on. By having this, and by the way, our skill classification classifies the skill with 99.3% accuracy. And so let's move on to our third feature.
Let's hear it. It made me feel warm and safe for a moment, like my chest loosened and I could breathe without being watched.
Yes, the AI literally talks to you, and you can literally talk back to the AI as well, capturing the true essence of human interaction. Let's move on to the business side of things.
Thank you. So let's talk about the $13.3 trillion communication market. Well, it's huge. As you can see, the numbers are so big, but it's all over the place. The need for specialized training like our personas is an everlasting and infinite impact. Our business model is B2B with a subscription-based model. We work and partner directly and exclusively with world institutions and enterprise for efficiency, and we hit industry standards. Well, but are you probably thinking that a model can only be as good as credibility? Well, that's exactly what we're thinking. So, we're starting off with institutions first, such as universities and vocational education. Then, in order to build our credibility and to earn academic validation, we finish launching a corporate market after that to ensure that what we're doing is right and we have the best decision made. Then we scale to healthcare industries, etc., etc. Our money is simple and powerful. Our infrastructure cost per user is $9.3 a month, but we sell it at $100 per seat. That's a 90% margin. By securing 8 universities and a dozen of enterprises, we are locking in with 10K active users. That's a 5-year accumulated revenue of $38 million with a 40% profit margin.
Our future projection actually comes from the fact that ACTalyse has already been implemented into the HKU social work curriculum, where 90 students are actively training with it. Well, as we all know, human interaction, it's messy, it's unpredictable. And generic AI, such as ChatGPT or DeepSeek, it relies on the same messy web data, which causes it to have hallucinations. So what makes us different? Well, we get our data trusted and verified straight from our partners. So all of our transcripts, as well as the personal profiles, are real from our partners itself. And then, when our product enters the market, the impact is huge. We are a social impact-driven product who aim to close the $1.2 trillion communication gap in the society. And this same benefits can be reaped by the institutions as well as the users, as one professor can now monitor skill gaps across 400 students simultaneously, dropping training costs by 99%. The users can get customized deep skill analytics as well as access to unlimited practice. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to conclude my pitch with our very own theory of change. Our core value at ACTalyse is the human-AI collaboration, which happens right at the input. Yes, you heard that right, and that's also the theme for today. We use AI just not to design products, but to design better humans. Thank you.
Right, thank you very much. Very good time management. All right, so now I'll pass the time to the judges. There'll be 12 minutes for the Q&A session. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. It's wonderful. So I'm just curious, how would you acquire the data set? Because the simulation or the training that you acquire requires quite specific data sets. How would you acquire from those?
Yes, so basically, as what we already have in our social work, the social work will give us the profiles, as you can see. Yes, so there is a profile over here that you can see. Yeah, so all these profile here are given by our partner, which is verified. So these clients are actually real-life clients that they already met in real-life situation. Yeah, so that's how we get the data set. And also the skill classification model, all of the transcript on how do they classify each skill is also based on given by that partner.
And also all transcripts are received by HKU social work professionals, and all transcripts are triple annotated by the social work professionals in HKU.
And I'd like your software to help me to train me up how to speak to the patients as well. Now, that one question is actually a lot of the communications are context specific, and context, that means from medical perspective, a patient depressed patient, different age, different background, and all that will be different. So although, how can you actually sort of adapt to these different contextual situations of the patients or the clients of the social work?
Of course, I agree with you. There's a lot of communication-intensive industries which also focus on contact-specific communication. So at this stage, we have an emotion engine which kind of incorporates the tone of speaking. But for example, body posture, or a lot of times the patient, they just go quiet. And that silence, it actually says everything. So in our future models, in our, future developments, we plan to incorporate a computer vision kind of model to incorporate the body posture, pose estimation, and incorporate the tones and emotions through that, as well as silence, a model to determine what a silence means, but then we also have to research on that even more by partnering with our institutions.
Also, I want to say that to make it more real, we're actually currently collaborating with Tsinghua University to incorporate facial features as well of all these clients, so that it is even more realistic.
And every profile we have now here is tailor-made, and every profile got its own characteristic. For example, the demo we show Kai is like a depressed teenager who got like constantly bullying at school, and also we got like gambling addiction, some kind of different kind of things, and even we have like a client rejecting to say things in our profile as well. So it caters a lot of different scenarios that you can face no matter in like business world, in medical world, or in a social work field as well.
What is a great measure for success, and how long is the training for the existing? You said there are 90 students using it, right? So usually, how long is the program, and how do you define success at the end? And obviously, with the feedback of this 90, can you tell me a few things that you need to improve upon? What are the challenges? What are the problems? Right? What are the problems with the product at the moment?
Sure. So how do we calculate the number 90s? So because in HKU social work curriculum, we got like a course called Social Work Skill Laboratory, and year 3 and year 4 students are required to take that course as their graduation standards. So if we combine year 3 and year 4 students, we have total of 90 students in total, and all of us are using that actively in our courses. And about about the duration, because it will do it pre-placement, during placement, and also post-placement. So we can, so the duration of training is kind of long. We got like 2 years for students to training, from like the start of year 4 to the end, from like the beginning of year 3 to the end of year 4, which is a whole 2 years for them to learn the whole process. And about the flaws we are facing right now, and the flaws that we are facing right now, we feel like because now we didn't actually grade that much on how well they use the skill. We identify what skills they use throughout the section, but a use of skill doesn't necessarily mean a good use of skills. I can throw a bunch of skills like advanced empathy, validation, some kind of stuff, all throw in one single sentence, but the client doesn't feel like being heard. So that's why the further development of that is we want to implement more things about grading how actually users are good at using those skills, instead of just randomly dumping all the skills in like one sentence overall.
And also I wanted to mention that you asked the question how to measure the success, right? So in our social work prototype, the field of social work, there is a concept called motivational interviewing, where the clients actually talk in multiple stages and progress through. And we have implemented that in our social work prototype as well, where you have to reach a certain point, you have to use some certain skills a certain number of times in order for you to move on to the next stage. And for now, I think we have 5 stages as according to the social work concept. We have 5 stages, and to move from one stage to the another, as I said, you have to use a specific set of skills a specific number of times for you to be able to achieve that. And that is how we measure how good the training session actually was.
Right, thank you, judges, thank you. And also thank you, Hong Kong U, for your presentations. Thank you.